Welcome to ECN Trade Daily Video. Before we begin, it should be noted that any advice is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration.
Hello everyone, my name is Rob Clayton and thank you for joining me. The Australian dollar bearish call echoed through the market after reaching its objective of 65.50 overnight as the US dollar index surged to a high of 102.55 after overseas data added to the bearishness to the momentum to the Australian dollar after the ADP report that employment additions were higher than expected after the headline came in at 324,000 private payrolls, significantly higher than the estimates of 191,000. However, much lower than the previous release, which was high around 497,000. The ADP has set the tone for this week to the Friday's main event, the US non-farm payrolls employment data for July. According to the forecast, the headline print looks around 230,000 jobs added, just slightly lower from the 209,000 in June. The unemployment rate in the US is expected to hold around 3.6%, while the average hourly earnings look for around 0.3%. Looking at the technicals, well, as I mentioned, the call was at 65.50, and with that reached, I am a little bit cautious now of calling any further to the downside. Nevertheless, for those trading, we could see them decline around that region of 64.45. But like I mentioned, I don't have a strong view on the downside now, since the recent market plummeted from around 67 cents. If we do see a rebound, then that would look towards around 66 cents and reassess from there. The euro, well, the market also reached its objective overnight, which was around 109.55. The break of the level of 109.55 exposes the region of 107.50.80, where I outlined it. Nevertheless, the dollar index strengthening still looks to the call of 103, therefore would put a little bit of downside pressure, looking towards either 109.15 or 108.70. But the base still expected to hold around 107.50 to 80 and could see a rebound from here. Overall, the main event, being Friday's non-farm payrolls, will still put a bit of a bumpy journey for the euros, so still take much caution when it comes to trading. The dollar yen, well, the market call is heading very much towards 143.90.95, and in light of the technicals, we are extremely overbought. I feel that there could be a bit of a challenge here and even maybe a rejection from 143.90.95 and maybe see a pullback to the lows of 142. So towards the top side, again, I reassess or reevaluate. The pound plummeted overnight as the market found initial support from the US dollar and now crushing the trend line, which was at 127. I feel the market may be heading for a bounce due to this bullish divergence that's here. But in light of the Super Thursday and the Bank of England's rate decision that's ahead, could see much of a bumpy journey and maybe even bounce off around 126.5 and look towards that top side level around 128 to 129. The downside move for gold continues after falling on Tuesday of $22. The market added further losses and reaches its objective of 1,934.35. Still, there's a little bit more slippage to the downside that could come into around 1,919. Surprisingly, the market pools didn't react to the decision by the US Fitch firm downgrading the US government's credit rating. Safe haven demand not coming in, and much further to the fact that the dollar strengthening will put a lot of pressure on the downside for gold. As you're well aware, I am negative and therefore could even see a view down towards 1,850, where I've been calling this for some time. But added to the bearishness and also how the market seems to be forming in terms of a pattern, could eventually see that downside reached, but immediately at 1,915 and reassess. Although I had a neutral view for oil, the market staged a very much strong rejection from that top side area of $81.60 and now poses more of a threat due to the fact we've broken the trend line and therefore could see a drop towards 76.30.45 and then maybe see a little bit of bullishness coming back into the market. Well, that's a wrap. So thank you very much for joining me, and as always, look out for your support, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.